everyone. Welcome back to DEI After 5. You know what? That conversation with Kuti was so good that we had to bring back a part two. So I started talking about, him being a wellness coach. Well, this second part, we're going to really get into sleep and the importance of sleep. So I hope that you are able to walk away with a few nuggets because it is a good one. As you're saying this and as you're talking through this, it makes me think through as we are thinking about wellness and how we take care of ourselves and how information is shared with us, right? Because now that we've figured out the technology, we figured out all these things, we become very, I don't want to say neutral, not, what's the word I'm looking for?
Not apathetic.
You're not even apathetic. It's just, it doesn't phase us.
Yeah, numb.
Right, numb. Right. We become very numb to what we're seeing and what we're perceiving as it becomes more normalized.
Yeah.
At the same time, our bodies, right, feel stress, feel anxiety, feel all of these other things. And so it's almost this cognitive dissonance that's happening within ourselves of I'm stressing, but at the same time, this is normal.
Mm-hmm.
And we then start to normalize the stress within ourselves.
Yes, and the body is an amazing machine. I literally had this conversation with a client just yesterday morning. The body is an amazing machine. It is an adaptable machine. It can deal with all kinds of consequential stress and still keep ticking for as long as it can until it can't. And so what I always say is, as resilient as our systems are, testing that resilience with frequency is often what leads to disease and the decomposition that you see when people start to get, cholesterol issues, heart issues, high blood pressure, mental psychotic breaks. All these things are just stacking up all of this stuff. So we've got to be able to actually clear our neural system we got to be able to detoxify our neural system of the junk. Just like when you eat food, your body takes the nutrition, it kicks out the waste. Our brain and our nervous system is designed to, it has its own gutter system where it actually cleans itself out as well. But we have to give it the paradigm to be able to do that. And when we are highly stressed, when we're not eating properly, we're not moving enough, and most significantly, when we're not recovering and resting at night, when we're not getting ourselves together at night and getting proper sleep, that's when that stuff starts to build up the most. Because all the positive changes that you do, if you change your diet, if you start, running, if you start lifting weights, all that stuff, you don't see the growth. The growth and the changes for the better do not occur while you're in the gym. They occur while your body's recovering. If you think about it, anybody that's ever done any kind of weightlifting, you do some weightlifting, it gets to a point your muscles are too tired to lift anymore. You stop for a minute or two, you pick up those same weights, and all of a sudden you can lift those weights that you couldn't lift 2 minutes ago. It's because in those 2 minutes, your body got a chance to recover and regroup and adapt. Now, how much better if you can let your body do that recovery in total overnight? And that's where sleep really matters the most.
So let's get into that because, one of the things, and I'm going to admit this, y'all, I have stopped watching the news, right? I was one of those people, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock news, like, let me get it all in, watch a couple of sitcoms and then, go to bed. But my brain was still kind of going on what I saw on the news. And so I've had to kind of cut that out. I also, and I've shared this with folks on the show before, worked in a very toxic workplace where the stress was such that the microaggressions were such that it was starting to impact my health, right? So insomnia hair started falling out, started getting ulcers, was rushed to the ER several times. And I realized this ain't for me. I can't. Like, I like my health. I'm going to remove myself from the situation.
Yeah.
But what I learned through that process was the importance of sleep. So can you talk to us about the importance of good sleep, not just sleep, good sleep, and what that does as a part of that recovery process?
Yeah, so sleep is so crucial. Like I mentioned a second ago, recovery, all the stuff, all the input that happens to your brain and your body throughout the course of the day, it actually synthesizes with your system when you sleep and when you're in deep sleep. A lot of times people talk about REM sleep, but there's delta wave sleep. So there's if your sleep was like a wave, what would happen is you would kind of go to sleep, hit REM, you kind of come up out of that for a second, and this is where I used to wake up all the time because I was horribly sleep deprived for most of my life until I figured this out. And then you go into delta wave sleep, and delta wave sleep is deep sleep, and that's when everything starts to think about it like a cleaning crew. You know, if you have an office building, in the office building, they could try to clean up while everybody's in the office. But if they try to clean up while everybody's in the office, somebody's going to undoubtedly still leave a mess there.
Yeah.
Think about that continuous mess as, you know, the input that you put, whether it's watching TV, watching the news right before you go to bed, doing those kind of things, worrying about the next day. But when everybody leaves, when the workday is over and everybody leaves, that's when the cleaning crew really comes through and just starts to sweep and mop and move and reorganize everything. Our brains have that capacity. Our nervous system has that capacity to kind of flush out, almost like a gutter system, flush out all the stuff that's not good and realign and keep everything that is good, and they'll keep us optimized and going better. So sleep is a crucial part of that. And as someone who was criminally sleep deprived, I mean, I was one of those people working in the music business. It was 24/7. You know, when everybody was off work, that's when the application of all my daytime work would actually come into play. The concerts, the shows, the appearances, you know, so when everybody's on vacation and leisure, that's when we're working. And when they're not doing that, that's when we're preparing. And that's when we're getting the songs on the radio and the songs on the videos on the video channels and rehearsing, you know, the band for tour. And so the hours were crazy. You know, the clubs open late, DJs. So that was life. And I would just think, hey, I'll sleep when I'm dead. That was usually the way I moved, you know, and you're a go-getter, you're a shark. And not realizing that I was actually accelerating myself towards death, no matter how I looked, accelerating myself towards death, because it's similar to a car. You buy a new car, they give you 5 years, 60,000 mile warranty, right? Now they say 5 years or 60,000 miles. If you hit 60,000 miles before those 5 years, then your warranty is up.
Yep.
The expectation is you'll drive an average of about 12,000 miles a year. So if you're driving 20,000 miles a year, your warranty is up in 3 years. Even though you would say, well, I got a 5-year warranty. You don't have a 5-year warranty. Our lives are sort of the same way. We have a certain amount of tread on our tires, and we can burn that tread up early, or we can use it for the average healthy expectancy. And a lot of us are accelerating ourselves towards, let me make it personal. So for me, I used to average about, this sounds nuts when I say it now, but I used to average probably about, with pride, 3 hours of sleep a night.
Oh, Lord.
So if you think about it, the average amount of sleep that a human being needs to be truly healthy and functional is somewhere between 6 and 8. Let's go on the big side, say 8, just to make it easy. So that means that you are expected as a human being, think about the warranty again, to have 60, every day is really 16 hours long, because 8 of those hours you should be sleep.
Right.
Now, if you extrapolate that versus what used to be my habit, I had 21-hour days, meaning that in the course of a week, my 7-day period was really like a 10-day period.
Yeah.
Consolidated into 7 days.
Yeah.
Meaning that if I was supposed to live to, 100, I'm probably going to live to about 60 or 65. And I'll remind you, I'm 53.
Right. And, it's funny because I'm, listening to you and thinking about it from that warranty perspective. We need to take care of ourselves. And so, and again, as someone who has gotten into some habits now that I'm like, if I'm going to sleep, I'm going to sleep well. So, I've even started, taking magnesium to help kind of slow down and lower my cortisol levels. And like, I had to do all of that, research to understand what was going on with me, and also winding down by 8:30, 9 o'clock so that my brain isn't just constantly going. I have an app on my phone that does these, sleep casts, like meditative stories that I listened to a new one last night, and I woke up this morning. I'm like, I don't even know what that story was about, because I fell asleep right after the deep breathing. right? So I've had to do these things for myself. What are some things that people can do now that can start to help them pivot some of their bad sleep habits?
I love that you asked that. I have a freebie that I'll give away to anybody who's listening here. Just go to the website www.bybdfitness.com/de-stress and just drop after 5 in the message, and I'll know that you saw me here. If you got anything else you want to share, you could do that as well. But I have what I call the BYBD stressors. There are 6 of my favorite ways to de-stress in 60 seconds or less. Now, you can do all of these for longer than 60 seconds, and some of these do take longer than 60 seconds until you make them an actual habit. So I'm actually interested in seeing which ones come back as the favorites. But with each of these moves, once you've got them down, if you are in a pinch and you just have 60 seconds, you can employ one of these moves and it just evens everything out quickly. One of the simplest ones you mentioned was breathing. Right? There's a bunch of different ways, a bunch of different, descriptors and brands on this, but basically I'll just cut it straight to brass tacks. Inhale as deeply as you can through your nose, as deeply as you can, hold it for about 3 or 4 seconds, and exhale naturally like you're blowing out of a straw through your mouth. And the wild part is, if you just do that 3 times, just 3 times, you'll be amazed, and ask yourself honestly how you feel after having sat still to do that. You'll be amazed at how just everything seems a lot more clear, peaceful, and especially when you're in times of high stress. So if you're in bed and you just, I don't know what I'm gonna do tomorrow, just stop for a second and just breathe. And here's why. When I ask people all the time, what's your most important nutrient? Matter of fact, I'll ask you, so what's your most important nutrient? What's the healthiest nutrient?
I would say oxygen.
Bang. A lot of times people think food. People think food. But I tell people all the time, if you went, you hear people all the time going on fast for various reasons, political, religious, fitness, and they'll just stop eating, sometimes for a day, sometimes for a week, sometimes for a month, whatever, protest, they don't die, right? If you went a day without drinking any kind of fluid, namely water, you would be wildly uncomfortable, but you would not die. You go 4 minutes without breathing. See what happens. Actually, I don't advise it. I don't advise it. You go, but you need oxygen. So when you just stop and give yourself pure doses of oxygen, your brain is immediately fed, and all of a sudden, all those things that seemed wild and crazy and impossible and implausible, they don't disappear, but the way you perceive them now is way more clear. It's like, okay, all right, the most important thing I need to do tomorrow is be ready for Sasha's podcast. All right, boom. Then after that, pack for my trip. Okay, boom. Then after that, boom. Oh, no, wait. The most important thing I need to do is make sure my kids' lunch is ready. All right, then after that, you'll be able to sort these things out a lot better just by stopping to breathe. Think about it. You ever been working on something like your taxes or a report, and it's late at night, you're burning the midnight oil, you will not let that thing go. And then at some point, you just fall asleep on it. You just crash on it. And then you wake up on it, or you wake up 3 hours later, and that 2 + 2 is just, that's 4. You just going to sleep. When you wake up, it's just everything that was so hard for you just a couple hours earlier. All of a sudden, that's easy. And it's just done in minutes. That's why people say sleep on it.
Yeah.
Right? That's the wisdom in sleeping on it, because oxygen is your primary fuel source. Never forget that. So that's one thing you can do. You can breathe. You can absolutely breathe. I'll say the quickest cliff notes on my bedtime blueprint is prepare yourself to go to sleep as opposed to just going to bed or crashing. I was one of those people that always fell asleep.
That part.
I was famous for falling asleep, especially when I was single. When I was single, I had a whole house to myself, man. It didn't matter where I slept. If I ended up on the stairs, the couch, whatever, a chair, I could sleep anywhere. Once I had gotten married, and I had to kind of start regulating these things. But the point is, go to sleep, don't fall asleep. When you go to sleep, these are 3 things I want you to do, the baseline things. First and foremost, give yourself credit for the main thing that you accomplished that day. There's something that you accomplished that day. For some of us, it could just be that you made it through the day. Hopefully it's not that dire though, but if it is, nothing wrong with that. But pat yourself on the back for something that you did today. That's 1. Number 2, think about the most important thing that you have to do and accomplish by tomorrow. By this time, when you're laying your head on your pillow, God willing, the next day, the next night, what is the one thing that if you don't have it done, you'll be smacking yourself in the forehead for not having gotten done. Because a lot of times we can have a productive day. We've done 20 zillion things, but there's still that one thing that we didn't do. And we're like, oh, I still have not registered my kid for camp. Daggone. That thing, the thing that'll have you doing that, that's the thing that's your most important thing. That's your one thing. Have that one thing ideally accomplished by 11 o'clock the next day. And if you don't, just make sure that everything in your schedule conspires towards getting you to the point where you have some space to accomplish that one thing before you go to sleep. So again, pat yourself on the back, know your one thing for tomorrow. Because here's what happens. When you do that, you close out all the open tabs for the day. You know, you ever had your computer just start acting really weird? You can't figure out why. It's because or your phone, because you have all these apps open.
Everything's open. Right.
Everything's open. You got to close these things out so your computer has some space. So your phone has some space. So your brain has some space. Yeah. So you close everything out, pat yourself on the back. You set the agenda for tomorrow. Now you're free, you know, because you're like, whew, I did something today and I know what I'm going to be patting myself on the back for tomorrow. Right. When you do that, and then finally, when you lay your head to sleep, just think about something that genuinely, I mean, sincerely makes you smile. Like something that smile glows from the inside and just manifests in your lips, you know, creasing up this way. Right. And it could be anything. It could be some crass joke that somebody told you. It could be a thought about your puppy. It could be a thought about your childhood. It could be something that, you know, somebody cool said, a t-shirt, a dress, whatever. Just think about something that actually makes you legitimately smile. If you do those three things every night, I promise you these things. Number one, you're going to sleep better than you ever have. And this is before you even get to magnesium and all that stuff. I'm just talking about just things you can do before you even purchase or get a prescription or any of that kind of stuff. You're gonna be grateful. You're gonna sleep better than you ever had. You're gonna allow yourself to get to that delta wave of sleep, and you're gonna be more productive than you've ever been. Because we all have these laundry lists of things that we want to get done. All of us, and any of us if you're listening to this podcast or watching this podcast, you're a go-getter. You're somebody that's already trying to make yourself better. I already know that. All right, if you're listening to Sasha, I already know that. So if you're a go-getter, we've got all these things that we want to get done. But think about how many times you've got these plates just spinning. You start some things, but you don't really get them done. Think about that. You already know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, think about this. If you could guarantee that every single week you get 4 to 5 of those things done, you know how high a rate of success you're batting at now compared to what you were doing before? That's a high, think about it. No more plate. Like you got 10 plates spinning on something, boom, you got 9. Next day, boom, you got 8. Next day, you might have a good day, boom, boom, you got 6. End of the week, you've only got 5 of those plates spinning. You're like, whoa. And you can do that every single day. And if you trip up one day, reset and start over again, right? So you'll be more productive than you've ever been. You'll get better sleep than you've ever had, which is going to make you immediately healthier and better, prolong your life, and you'll be grateful. Yeah. And then that only takes about 5 minutes every night. Like I said, I can talk more one-on-one with people about how to really implement this and make it a habit, but that's the nuts and bolts of the bedtime blueprint that I came up with. So but before you even get to that, one of those 6 BYBD stressors, easily, I'm talking in 60 seconds, you'll be like, wow, that worked. I've got a gazillion ways, but those 6 were the ones that always were the most effective and the ones that were most implementable by anybody.
I love it. I love it. I mean, I think it's so critical and important to be able to wind down at night so that you wake up ready for the day. Yeah. Right. One of the worst things that you could do is go to bed with dread because you're dreading the morning, right? The next morning. That makes it hard to get out of bed. Yep. But if you have, okay, this is what I'm going to accomplish today, or this is who I need to speak to today, you check that off. I mean, we like to check stuff off our list, right? We know that we need to do that. And so I appreciate the blueprint because it doesn't make it overwhelming, right? It's not something that you're adding to your list to do. This is a way to get the stuff off of your list to begin with.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. And then the thing is, it's, when the list, we already know from experience, the list only grows.
Oh, absolutely.
But to be able to knock things off that list is an incredible feeling. I mean, nothing makes me feel better than wake up in the morning and just be like, oh, I got that done. And if you get it done, again, ideally get it done before 11 a.m. If you can't, just get it done before you go to sleep. But
Yeah.
if you, by singularizing your focus, it does help quiet some of the noise. So you're like, okay, I got to get that thing done. Got to get that thing done. And sometimes you'll busy work yourself. Oh, let me do this really quick. Let me get some laundry. Let me do this. But then if you remember my one thing, I'll get back to this laundry. So, and then once you get that thing done, especially if you get it done by 11 o'clock, you feel like a superhero. You're like, wait, I got the whole rest of the day to do anything. And anything you do from that point forward is now icing.
It's right. It's the cherry on top.
Yep. But feeling productive and then reminding yourself before you go to sleep, I did that.
Yeah.
You know, it just sets a cycle up for success. It's a cycle up for just slowing things down, a cycle up for accomplishment and productivity. And who doesn't? I mean, honestly, we live in a capitalist society. Who doesn't want to get things done? Who doesn't want to get more things done? But a lot of times we think of getting more things done by just piling on, stuff and again, keeping the plate spinning as opposed to a lot of activity versus actual achievement.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a whole other conversation about we just like to stay busy.
Yeah. And this world is full of busy work.
Yes. Thank you for spending this time with us today. My brain is now like, oh, we could have gone down this path and that path. So we'll have to have you back.
Let's come back. Let's come back and talk about it. I'm with it. This is great.
Yes, we could absolutely have you back. But thank you so much. I think, that blueprint is going to help our audience in just trying to start their wellness journey, and they can continue to do that. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. And I'm not greedy or selfish. So, if anybody's watching, I'm sure they'll share my socials at KUTIMACK. Just hit me up, just remind me that you saw me here, heard me here, and ask the questions. I'm here to answer them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you all for tuning in to this week's episode of DEI After 5. As always, I hope you were able to walk away with a couple of new nuggets that you can start to put into motion today. And as always, have a good one. DEI After 5 is produced by the Leon Thomas Group. For more information, go to theleonthomasgroup.com.